Welcome to the Wedding Weeds podcast. Your host is Tracy Morris, award-winning certified wedding planner at her company, You're the Bride. Tracy has over 2 decades of wedding industry experience. She is a mentor, blogger, and influencer, and she shares real stories, tips, and advice with couples who are tying the knot. Tracy's team helps busy, engaged couples maneuver big and small details so that they can enjoy their wedding experience instead of getting lost in the details, which is much like getting lost in the weeds. Enjoy this episode.
Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of the Wedding Weeds podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Morris, and on today's episode, we are going to be talking to specifically wedding and event planners who are a little overwhelmed in their businesses and would love to reclaim at least 10 hours plus per week of time. And before we get started though, I would like to share a special milestone on today's episode. This is episode number 11, and statistics have shown that most podcasts don't make it to episode 5. So I'm very proud to say that we are on episode 11. So thank you to all the new listeners who have found us. And now is the time to catch up on the Wedding Weeds podcast and start from the beginning. So please keep sharing my podcast out so it can grow like a weed. Do you get it? The Wedding Weeds podcast. So today we're going to be talking about my new digital course. It is called The Wedding Planner's Guide to Training and Mentoring Interns. Delegate and reclaim your time. Because as a wedding and event planner, we all are overwhelmed. And I have actually had a internship program now for over 16 years, actually. So this is not for planners that are looking to stay stuck in the day-to-day routine. It is for ambitious wedding pros and event pros who want to scale, delegate confidently, and get your life back. Because there just isn't enough hours in the day, face it. So inside my new course, you're going to learn how to build a reliable intern program. You're going to be able to offload those time-consuming tasks without losing your mind. You're going to spend more time on growth, or maybe even take a weekend off when you're not booked. Wouldn't that be nice? You're going to become the mentor that you wish that you had starting out. If you're tired of wearing all the hats and you're ready to grow a team that supports your vision, this is your next move. Even if you don't have a large team, you can always use some extra help. And it's wonderful to give back to these young college interns because they are eager to learn from us as wedding planners. So I want to share a little bit about my journey of what my life was like before I had interns. I've always been distracted with the little small tasks, and it gets exhausted running around before I could even tackle the significant tasks. So I decided what better thing to do than start a internship program. It's definitely had a lot of twists and turns trying to figure out the digital product that I've made to go along with this. And we are almost there. There's been a lot of technical issues that I'm still working out in the back end before I can actually do my webinar, but that will be coming soon. I've felt like giving up, honestly, many times, but I'm a go-getter. I'm very goal-oriented, and I'm going to complete this mission. I do remember looking back on trying to set up my podcast, like how in the world do you set up a podcast? And that had a lot of challenges too, but I always find a way and I figure it out. So I guess you can call me a goal digger, not a gold digger, ha. Anyhow, so before I had interns, I did weddings, back in the day, all by myself without any help. And I did all the admin work that went with it. And if you're a planner, you know that admin work. We've got timelines to work out, vendor confirmation, phone calls and emails. We have to set up meetings. We have to go on site visits. It's just a lot. So if you're a wedding planner, you totally feel my pain. So I'm going to share a little bit about my course, which is geared towards wedding and event planners that are overwhelmed and that can use a little bit of help in their business. I've been a wedding planner now for 27 years, and about 16 years ago, I saw another wedding planner in the industry, and I saw that she was using interns and she had assistants, and I was really intrigued, and I'm like, how do you get an intern? So I actually reached out to her, and I set up a meeting, and I kind of asked, hey, can I borrow one of your interns for an upcoming event? Because I had a lot of weddings, and I was like, I could really use some help setting up because it's hard to be in 2 places at once. And she was like, yeah, let's meet up for a coffee. So we did that. And she kind of explained, her interns. And she's like, Tracy, you can get your own. And I'm like, really? So I left that meeting kind of with some ideas in my head, and I came home and I put together an ad, and I decided, I think what I'm going to do is just reach out to some local colleges in the area. So I had my job description in hand with, the skills I'm looking for, and I basically just said, they could work for college credit, and I checked with the department at the colleges, and sure enough, I started getting applicants because everybody was like so excited to work for a wedding planner. So it was really actually quite easy to get candidates because everybody wants to be J-Lo, right? Haha. Anyhow, but I didn't have a roadmap of what to do next. So I just figured it out on my own with lots of trial and error. So that's why I'm sharing this with you today. So you don't have to make the mistakes I did and waste time on how to set up your own internship or mentorship program, whatever you want to call it. So you are going to have to put a little bit of time into it, of course, but I'm going to give you all the info that you need, in the webinar that's coming up and just to kind of guide you along. There's going to be templates, there's tips, there's to-do list ideas, and there's so much more. So I've really taken all the guesswork out of it. So that's really where the idea came from, is back in the day when I was completely overwhelmed, and I've been having interns now for about 16 years. So these interns are wonderful. Now you can share your to-do list with them. You can, focus on growing your business in other areas. Now I know it's a little bit scary to give, tasks or assignments or delegate responsibilities to someone else that's not yourself. But with my structure, and you take a little bit of time with them, you can pull this off and have the assistance that you need. So to date, just to kind of give you some more facts about my internship program here at You're the Bride, I have actually mentored 29 college students since developing this program. And we actually have another one that will be starting soon. So I've really loved getting to know each student and finding out what their skill set is and seeing them evolve by learning new things in the event industry and gain confidence, new skills, and having them support me with admin. And actually, my local interns that live here in Michigan, they get to go to the events with me. So I actually offer a very good hands-on experience, and I've had wonderful feedback over the years from all of my students. And some of the interns were so excited to be working with me and learning about, the world of weddings and events and all the crazy stories that I tell them. So they've actually told their friends and referred other students to me. So that's just an honor when they have been so happy about the experience working with me. And it's really, a give and take situation. The college students are amazing, and they have actually taught me so many things. They're new in the industry, but they're learning and they know so many like tech things that I don't know. So they have brought a lot of good, valuable insight to my business with the technology that they learn and just new things out in the world. And then I can share my knowledge of 27 plus years of working in the wedding and event industry. And I love, to tell those crazy stories and, discuss with them, on wedding days, things that do go wrong. We don't want to obviously, freak out. We need to remain calm. So I'm teaching them all those behind the scenes things as well as being in the front line too, because that's how they're going to learn. So when these girls come through my internship, at the end, we're always sad because it's like time for them to go. But I feel that I've done my best mentoring them and putting them out into the world. It is kind of bittersweet, but there's been a couple that have actually, I think I've had about three now that I decided to hire them as a paid employee as my assistant. And then, they finished their college degrees and they do want to move on to something else more in their field. So of course, then I have to let them go. But then, I always have someone else kind of waiting in the wings. And then once they get through their internship, if I feel that they're doing a great enough job, then I'm going to offer them the next position. So it's really a win-win because they're already learning from me. Why not keep them on? They know the systems, they know, the ins and outs of the business, and it just makes perfect sense. So again, you're reclaiming your time by keeping on those same students that want to learn more from you. Maybe they're, in their second or third year of college, so they're not really going to be out in the field yet looking for their job after graduation. So why not let them stay and assist further? And it's been great. I also have virtual interns that live in different states. So those students, unfortunately, they don't always get to come to the weddings. I did have one though that lived in Florida, and she was wonderful. And it was funny because when she actually hired in with me as my intern, she said, my dad works for, oh gosh, I forget the airline now, one of the airlines, and I could definitely shoot up to Detroit and help you if you need it. So there was a wedding that I think all of my assistants were busy that weekend or something. And I really loved this girl, and we formed a really good friendship. And I loved mentoring her, and she was willing to learn. And I was like, Katie, you want to come to Detroit? We have a wedding. She's like, oh my God, I would love to. So she hopped on a plane, and she helped me with the wedding at St. John's Resort. And it was a great experience. Put her up in a hotel. It was a very quick trip. She was only in for probably less than 24 hours, but she really enjoyed the experience, and we got to meet in person. So that was, I think, one of the only virtual interns that I was able to meet in person so far. I've had, oh my gosh, a handful. I work with some students down in the Chicago area. I think I've had 3 or 4 now. And I keep saying I'm going to take the train down there to go visit these girls, and one day I will. I'm excited to meet up with them, and they know that. I've had girls from California, Illinois, Florida, just all over, but those are the ones that are sticking out. So I also give them a really good experience, even though they're working virtually. I do share a lot of my crazy stories with them via Voxer, and that really helps them just kind of learn the behind the scenes, what goes on at weddings. If we have issues, how do we solve them? So it really gives them a world experience, even though they can't be hands-on at that wedding, but they still will learn from me. Hey there, this message is for the ladies. I'm going to put you onto a new product that I just started trying. It is available in my TikTok shop. It's called Maureen's Mascara, and it is on sale, so you need to grab it. It is by Tarte. You can get it in the TikTok shop. I will link it in my show notes. $27, and it basically comes with 2 mascaras. One is like a primer. The other one is black or brown. And I'm telling you, it's the longest lashes I've had in my life. In just 2 simple steps, this is going to be the lowest price. So you want to snag it now for $27, plus you get free shipping. Got to try it. So I previously had mentioned that I will be hosting an upcoming webinar. I don't have the date of that set yet, just because I'm still having a few little technical issues on the back end with the shopping cart. But we will have a webinar, and it's going to showcase our digital course that myself and the interns have worked on. I had 3 or 4 interns that were instrumental in putting the course together, the videos together, the marketing together, the social media posts, the hooks, just everything. The girls are amazing, and they will give back to you, as much as you give to them. It's just amazing experience. So I've been very, very fortunate to meet some wonderful young ladies. So having an intern, will totally transform your business and help you reclaim your time. So that's why I thought today would be a great episode, since the webinar is coming soon. And I just was hoping that there might be some wedding and event planners out there that have been overwhelmed in their business, because I know you're out there and you might be interested in the upcoming webinar. So once we have that, follow, our You're the Bride and on Instagram or all the socials. And I'm definitely going to put the link to save your seat out there. So you're not going to want to miss this opportunity, because inside the webinar, in about 60 minutes, that's the length of the webinar approximately, I'm going to share the key strategies to bring on the right intern for your team, how to set them up for success so you can finally stop doing all these things yourself. We'll have a short Q&A. So get ready to reclaim your time, reduce your stress, and work smarter, not harder. So you can go from feeling overwhelmed to organized. And I am going to share with you my simple system on how to delegate with confidence and get that time back. So surrounding internship programs, there are a lot of myths and concerns, but it will transform your business. So In that webinar, I'm going to share the number one mistake that managers make when bringing on an intern and how to avoid it. I'm going to share with you how to reclaim hours of your week without sacrificing quality, because I know that you're probably wondering, can an intern really do the job? Can they actually assist me? Yes, they can, and we'll get more into that. A simple system to get interns productive faster than you ever thought possible. We're also going to discuss the mindset shift that changes everything about managing interns effectively. So you're not going to want to wait any longer to find an intern to get you relief. So, how my course works and why it works is something else that you'll discover more if you actually purchase the digital course. But it's just been an amazing experience. So once I went through the interview process and I decided on who to hire, I always onboard them. And it's nice to have somebody to just give little tasks to. So I started off very small because I need to see, how well are they going to do? You can't just really throw them to the wolves. You kind of have to have an idea. So inside the course, I'm going to be providing templates and lists of the things that you may not have even thought of that you can delegate to your interns. So I'm very picky, and I bet all of my fellow wedding planner friends are a little picky too. So I just need to see if they can handle those tasks. I give them a deadline and I see how efficient they are. These interns, like I said in the past, they've also attended me at weddings, and that's been a huge help to have somebody assist me on the day of. Now, I do have other event assistants that will accompany me to weddings, but if I have an intern at a certain time of the year, then why not bring them? Because then they'll get that, hands-on experience. And then I don't have to do all the setup myself. But I also use it as a learning tool to explain to them, how to set up place cards on a table, because there's, a method. You don't just want to throw them down all sloppy. And sometimes you have to kind of do a little math and figure out how many rows are going to fit on the table. Just setting up, maybe a memory table, and there might be a strategic way to do that. Helping with maybe putting the favors out. There's so many things that, they can do. Honestly, they have been a lifesaver to me. I do remember one specific wedding. This was, oh gosh, I think this was actually my first intern. Yes, I do remember now. I somehow the night before the wedding, I fell down the stairs at my house. And I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I was hobbling around all day at the wedding. But luckily I had my intern there. So, I just delegated to her and told her what needed to be done. I did what I could do, but I definitely needed some help. So she literally saved me that day and just, took the direction and learned pretty fast. So that was an interesting day, but in the end, it was a meaningful experience for her and humbling for me because I had to let go a little bit and put my trust in somebody, and it was great to have her there on my team. Hey, have you ever heard of mixed tiles? They're actually these cool picture frames that you can hang on the wall. They have a magnetic backing, they're peel and stick. You can adjust them to perfection. Once you have them on the wall, you can actually move them around. You can move them to different rooms in the house. They leave no marks. They're amazing. So if you'd like to order these, just use my discount code WQ21Z as in zebra, 8C as in cat, T for Tracy for 10% off at the checkout. And that's again, Mixed Tiles. That's www.mixtiles.com. MIXTILES.com. They're wonderful, especially for wedding pictures. So the next thing that I want to share with you is, how our interns themselves have actually grown and benefited from this experience that I provide. So, interns are so useful because they're going to grow from this experience. They really do want to learn and they want to be helpful. As I mentioned before, this gets them real world experience that you're not going to find in a classroom or a textbook. You're going to be a mentor to them, but don't let that stress you out. You're probably thinking, Tracy, I've never been a mentor. What do I do here? All you do is you're going to teach them what you already know and what you're good at. They want to help us take things off of our plate. They really do. I had another intern who helped me plan a major party And I thought, okay, this is perfect. I'm going to delegate some responsibilities to her. She's going to be accountable for coordinating with vendors. I explained to her, why this needs to be done, gave her deadlines because everything when you're planning an event is on a time schedule. We have to get back to the client with, the information that they need so we can book vendors and plan this party. She did an amazing job. She really ran with everything. She was also there on the day of to help me set up the event, to help me man the event. And it was just great because she was able to learn so much. And now she actually graduated this weekend. I'm so proud of her from Oakland University. So shout out to Von Denise. She was a wonderful intern. She helped me with a lot of our video production. She graduated from OU with a video production degree. I think having this experience looks really good on your resume. Cheyenne is my current assistant. She was also an intern, graduate from Walsh Business School, and she is amazing as well, working on just so many social media posts. I mean, she's a Canva wizard. Valeria, she was amazing as well. She's out of Chicago. She worked tirelessly also on my digital course and helping with slides and edits and adding pictures. And if you join in for the digital course, when I do have the webinar, you'll get to see the work of the interns. Of course, I'm overseeing everything, making sure it's to my liking, but they were phenomenal in helping me put together the course. And, I couldn't have done it without those ladies. If you haven't caught the episode where I did bring the interns on for an intern roundtable discussion, we did talk about the course in there, and then you can see their faces because I do have guests on my episodes. So that one, they all came back after their internships and we kind of discussed the course. But I definitely love giving credit where credit is due, and those three ladies definitely deserve it. So, the next part of having an internship is you don't want to really just have an intern on your team just to help you out. You really need to set clearly defined goals and have an outcome. Okay. So, yes, most people do think of tasks, and I do call them tasks. I'm going to delegate, but they're really there to help you gain, the outcome. You want to gain results from having your intern, okay? You want to give them ownership. You want them to feel like part of the team. So, I always try, even if it's a silly little task, I try to explain why this matters in the grand scheme of things because some of the tasks behind the scenes of managing a business are not so fun. They're not all glamorous. We're not, planning weddings only. We have to actually run the business itself, the nuts and the bolts, the bookkeeping, the marketing, the social media, the hiring, the firing, the networking, the advertising. It's a lot of work. And I want them to also walk away from working for You're the Bride understanding a little bit more about a business. So it's not all going to be, luxurious. There's a lot of nuts and bolts, but I'm not here to babysit them. They're accountable and they're going to perform under my guidance, my expectations. They're going to receive their college credit at the end of the internship. And after they complete it and they do a great job, I also write a letter of recommendation to them. They can use this on their resume, when applying for other opportunities. So the interns at You're the Bride really get a good taste of everything that goes along with running a business, the fun and not so fun parts, as I mentioned. It's a no fluff experience, but it's going to help them determine if after graduation, do they really want to be a wedding planner or do they want to work in another capacity of the hospitality industry? And it can really be eye-opening. Because I've had a few interns along the way, they're like, oh my gosh, Saturdays, weekends, maybe they weren't the best at details or helping with timelines, and that's okay. It's an experience, and I want them to learn from it so they can decide once they graduate, what do they really want to do with their life? And some of them love that. Some of them are great at details and timelines. And, I kind of think of my internship program when I've had team members. Think of, a bus and you've got several seats on the bus. Not everybody is going to fill that seat in the best possible way. So sometimes I have to do a little bit of adjusting. Maybe I'm just throwing out some names here. Maybe Becky is not so good at timelines, but Jennifer is a wizard. So maybe she could help her out on it. But we want to utilize, so it's really good that we utilize the skills that they have, but we also help them brush up and learn new skills. So that's my take on it. Is I try to give everybody a fair chance and give them constructive, feedback on, why this didn't work this way. But I'm also very open to the interns because, even though I know a ton about wedding planning, there's stuff in the tech world and just they might have a better method for something. And I always ask my interns, review my website, review my forms. Those are some of the tasks that I do give them because I want to have fresh eyeballs on it. And I want them to come to me and be like, Tracy, you know what? We should do it this way. So there's never a wrong idea, wrong answer. I'm always open to discussion. So you do have to build a rapport with your interns and, respect them like they respect me. So my internship really does provide the gritty stuff as well as the fun experience of working on beautiful weddings, and they do get a chance for that too. And it's just been a wonderful 16 years. Yeah, I believe it's 16 now. Hard to believe when I'm barely 30. I always say that, haha. But anyhow, if you want, the full blueprint, the exact steps and strategies that I've taken, you're going to want to join me on my upcoming digital course. During the course, I am going to be offering, well, just for attending the webinar, I'm going to have a couple of freebies. I'm going to also have a thank you gift that is a intern rescue task prioritization sheet. So it's going to help you figure out, what do you even have your intern do? There's going to be some other bonuses inside the course, an extra bonus. Every wedding planner should stop doing these 25 admin tasks, and we're going to let you know what those are because your new intern can do those for you. So it's just been a great experience. Anyhow, I think that pretty much wraps up the episode for this week. But if you have loved the content that we've been sharing on the Wedding Leads podcast, I would love if you would take a minute and help us out. No matter what platform you're listening to, if you could leave us a 5-star review, that would be amazing. I also have fan mail, so if there's any, topics that you'd like me to discuss, please, shoot us an email. You can send it to tracy@yourethebride.com. There's also a link in the show notes on, how to get in touch. We also, it's coming into summer, so June is extremely crazy, but we're always open for more consultations and chatting with you about any type of event that you're planning, whether it be, graduation, corporate, holiday events, weddings. So please feel free to reach out and set up a complimentary consultation. I'd love to discuss what your event needs are. And also, I cannot leave my episode without sharing a couple of special items. So we all know that the gas prices are killing us, right? So I discovered this app. I don't know if you guys have or not, but I definitely want to share it and help save some money. So it's called the Upside app. If you download the Upside app, if you could use my code, that would be wonderful because it'll help you and it will help me. I'll also have the link in the show notes, but it is X39QS, and you will get 15 cents off per gallon cash back on your first gas fill up. Plus, you'll get an extra 10% cash back on your first restaurant or grocery purchase, and we can all use that. And then when you invite a friend, you're going to get cash back as well. And it really does work. I've been using it for a while now. I think to date, I probably have about $45, and that's only because I would have had much more, but honestly, I forgot to use it, and then I rediscovered it again when I was cleaning out the storage space of my phone. We all need to do that. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to share that in this episode because the gas is ridiculous out here. So hopefully you'll take advantage of that and use my code and then pass that along to another friend because we need to save on this gas. It is ridiculous. Anyhow, so yeah, I would love you to join the webinar. I will try to get some details out there about that soon. If you love this episode of the Wedding Weeds podcast, would you consider rating and reviewing the podcast on your platform? Your feedback allows us to help more wedding couples just like you with tips, advice, and wedding fun. We appreciate your time and support. Like, follow, and share. You can refer to the show notes for key takeaways and how to get in touch. This is Tracy Morris, your host, signing off of the Wedding Weeds podcast. Bye for now.